I think this competition that Black women have with white women is largely one-sided. When it comes to beauty specifically, I think it's largely one-sided. I think most white women feel comfortable being white and feel like they know that comes with its own benefits, if you will. She said white women viewing Black women as a threat.
The biggest reason that I know that white feminism is a real problem is just the perceived threat that so many white women feel from Black women just existing. Before I continue, I'm gonna reference myself as attractive. Yes, I know, shocker. I did this before and y'all got on my ass. I don't know what to say, we're gonna keep doing it. But as a Black woman, when you transition from unattractive to being perceived as attractive, you will notice the change in behavior from not only men, but also women, specifically white women. Especially when you don't fit a certain stereotype that they associate with your race and what they deem a Black woman should act like. It's almost like they don't know how to act with you and they end up, feeling this contempt. Aiden, please.
Okay, so a couple of things here. And this goes back to things I talked about in the past, where there are many Black women who feel like they are in constant competition with white women. Here's the truth. Yes, there are racist white women out there. That goes without saying. I, however, feel like this competition that Black women have with white women is largely one-sided, and let me explain why. White women are very comfortable being white, by and large. I think white women are pretty comfortable with being who they are. Yes, there are white women who struggle with their own issues. They have their own issues with feeling like they're beautiful. White women will struggle with all of the issues that any woman will struggle with. But as far as them being white and being comfortable in being white, most white women are that. They don't have an issue with their whiteness as a whole. So with that said, I don't see Black women going around feeling like their white femininity is lesser than Black femininity or lesser than I don't really believe that's a thing, because for example, you have white women like Taylor Swift, who as white as can be, who is one of the, if not the top ranking, top paid performing artists. What I'm saying is you have white women who make money off of being white, off of specifically being white. Being a white woman is marketable globally. If you go and you try to vacation in Africa, if you try to vacation in Asia or Latin America and these other places, you'll notice that white people are oftentimes used in the marketing, because white women and whiteness is usually associated with wealth, with class. It has a global appeal. So I'm saying that because I think Black women in their own personal experience, they may have their own experience with racism or with awkward, petty white women and feel like, oh, white women are intimidated by my beauty or da-da-da-da. And it's no, they're not really intimidated by your beauty. I think most white women feel comfortable being white. Some of the ladies you're experiencing are just probably racist. It could be that. Here's another thing we need to be really, really, really honest about. If you're a Black woman who specifically wants to date white men, white women are your #1 competitor. So she mentioned something in this video that was interesting. She was like, when I become perceived as attractive, then all of a sudden white women are looking at me some kind of way. White women, I don't think, they don't really care if you're perceived as attractive or not. It only becomes a problem if you're trying to get their men. If you're a Black woman who wants to swirl and divest, if you're a Black woman who wants to date their brothers or their friends or their cousins or whatever, then maybe that's an issue. And without her saying this, I'm wondering if she's a Black woman who wants to date white men. If she's a Black woman who wants to date white men, that's when there's more animosity at that point, because now you're literally in competition with them. But if it's not like that, then I don't really think it's that deep. And I can say this personally from my own experience. I have friends of multiple different races. I have many friends of mine who are white women. This contention, this threat that these ladies talk about, I have not experienced that. Now, I have experienced racism from white women. I'm not going to deny that. That does exist. But this idea that Black women cannot exist in a space or be by a space with white women without there being constant competition or constant ire, or she's always trying to take you down, that's not true. That's just definitively not true, because I can look at my own life and be like, not a thing. It's only a thing, in my opinion, if you feel like you're competing with them. This is why the whole, the Taylor Swift, Kayla Nicole, that's why that whole situation was so volatile, and why you've had a lot of Black women reacting to it with Swifties, because of this whole racial dynamic. It's a white woman and a Black woman who were dating the same man, and she went a particular way, and what narrative is living off about white femininity versus Black femininity. It's all because of competition over men. So without her saying it, I'm wondering if the underlying thing here is, do you like white men? Are you into white men? And if you are into white men, then yeah, you're likely to fall into issues with white women who may want the same men you're going for. That's, I think, the unspoken part of this conversation that's not being mentioned. Let's continue.
Really know that they are the standard. They have been socialized to know that. It's been their experience to have men want them of any race. But in that, they also know that whiteness is sort of blankness. And I actually don't mean that in a mean way. I mean, it is the standard. It's the norm. It is the opposite of exoticism. So in their male-centered minds, they're thinking, yeah, in majority of cases, I'm going to get the guy. But when they want a little switch up, a change from their usual, that is when women of color, specifically Black women, become a big threat. It's a lot of them sort of know that a lot of girls look like them. A lot of pretty girls look like that. They can never account for the allure of a deviation from that norm. But when they see an attractive Black woman, it's okay, I have to say, how can I fight against this? I don't have the facilities to fight against this. And to compensate for that, I think that's why we see a lot of white women try to play into the features of women of color. The style, this
Okay, so she's saying basically like white women who are feeling intimidated by black women's beauty. I honestly, guys, let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know what you think about this. I do not feel like white women feel intimidated by black women's beauty. I really don't. I think white women are very comfortable being, she's mentioned them being the global standard. And I say that because, look, if you understand imperialism, if you understand colonization, you understand there were implications to that, right? So as far as white women being marketable all across the world to this day, it's true. I mentioned, look at luxury resorts and you'll notice that if you go to luxury resorts all around the world, they're obviously targeting white women and they'll use white people, lighter skin in their marketing. And it's because that's associated with wealth. It has a global appeal. So from that vantage point, I understand what she's saying, but also at the same time, if white women know that, then they are not going to be intimidated by the descendants of slaves. I'm sorry. They're not going to be intimidated by the descendants of people who were imperialized. They're just not. That doesn't mean that black women, I think, are any less beautiful. Like, I think black women are beautiful. They have their own kind of beauty, but it's like, it's comparing apples to oranges. I think this competition that black women have with white women is largely one-sided. When it comes to beauty specifically, I think it's largely one-sided. I think most white women feel comfortable being white and feel like they know that that comes with its own benefits, if you will. Now, if it changes, if Western hegemony continues to change and declines, as it likely is given the current economy, it actually might change this whole shifting power dynamic and create a kind of social and political environment that we haven't seen in quite some time. But I think as it stands today, I don't think white women are going around being intimidated by a pretty black woman. I think they're comfortable being white because that's marketable. Being like a white blonde is incredibly marketable.
Like backs, lip filler, aneurysms, all of it. Like, they want to be able to oscillate between all types of attractiveness to become this sort of like maxed out woman who has every single thing a guy could ever want at any time. Because they are so used to being the standard, they cannot accept someone wanting something different. They kind of try to like borrow parts of you to become that so that won't happen again. It's very interesting and it happens more than you think.
Okay, and so she's saying white women will sometimes still borrow from other cultures to try to enhance their beauty. Yeah, I can agree with that. That has happened. We know there's a history of white women. Even in America, look at the Kardashians, right? They were taking things, borrowing trends that black women had been doing for years and then trying to rebrand it and make it their own to make it more marketable to white audiences, to larger audiences. But again, they're doing that under a white veneer. They're not necessarily trying to be in other cultures as much as they are trying to take the best aspects of other cultures and put it under the term of like white beauty, in my opinion. So I don't know, it's an interesting conversation. I understand where she's coming from. I may not totally agree, but again, I think the underlying thread is if you are a black woman who wants to date other races of men, or at least be competitive with other races of men, then you are in direct competition with white women. You are. At that point, it is going to change the dynamic with how you feel and react with them. But anyways, y'all, those are my thoughts. What do you think? Do you agree or do you disagree? Let me know down in the comment section. Thank you so much for listening. If you've got this far, and we'll talk later. Bye.